We have now looked at the layers, the symbology used within them, and had some idea of how we can adjust the symbology. Let's try mapping something now to begin with. We'll map a few objects. We'll start by mapping a surface, a land use. We'll zoom into this sports ground here. It's a football pitch, and we want to map this. So we'll use this as an example for a very simple, basic object to map. We start this as this is land use, we'll say. We'll click on that layer there, and we need to activate editing. So we can do this in two ways. We can either right click on the layer name there, and we can go to toggle editing there. It's got this pencil symbol, or we can activate it by using the pencil symbol up there. Now, either way, does the same thing. And we now have a whole load of tools active. What these look like will depend slightly on the layer that we're using. So for a polygon layer like this, areas, we have these symbols here. Once we start using lines and points, those symbols will change a little bit accordingly, because you can't draw a surface in a point layer or a surface in a line layer. So what we're going to do for this one is we're going to start. You might not have this tool available to you. I do. Frankly, it's not that helpful at the moment. We'll use this add polygon feature here, this icon right up there, and we'll draw a polygon. I'm going to draw this freehand to begin with, and in a later video I'll show you how to be a little more accurate with how you draw square shapes or rectangular shapes. But we'll start by just clicking on that, and with the marker, the cursor changes, and we can click there. And then we get this red line, I hope you can see, and then we can click there, we go down, and we click there, we go over, and it's about right click there, right click on the mouse, and we get up this window here, these attributes for the object we've created. And you'll see that there are 3 rows here for this one. We have 3 columns in the table. These are the attributes that we're going to fill in the columns in the table. So we've created an object, a row in the table. Now we need to fill in the information in the columns. The ID number, auto-generate. We'll let the program take care of that. We don't need to do anything about it. The type, we'll just leave null for now. This is this text, the text column. We may want to fill in some data in there at some point later on for some objects, but we may not. Right now, we can just leave it empty. But the code we're going to fill in, and this is a sports ground, so we don't actually have sports ground here. So we'll take unspecified. We'll click on unspecified because we don't have the correct data for it. We'll click on OK, and we'll see it's become a white polygon, because our unspecified is this white symbol. So let's say we're not happy with just having this white symbol there. That's not our sports ground. We want to have a different color on it. So we right click on that layer again, and we go to properties, and we get up this window again here with our legend and how the symbols, or how the different objects are going to be styled. And we didn't have a code in the type code for this object that we created, so it's ended up as all other values, unspecified, no particular number. But we want sports ground, so we need to create one. Well, we'll click on this plus symbol here, we'll add, and we see that it ends up at the bottom. The color is just random selection, it could be anything, it's not always the same. We're going to call it sports ground, but we want a code with what number in here is going to be equivalent to sports ground. That's up to us to decide. Sort of the lower numbers here are more natural woodland typey thingies. Then we have more sort of man-made structures here. We can just make something up if we want. Let's, for the sake of argument, call it 25. Could be something else. Really, if we're talking about GIS work, which we're not, this is cartography, but if we're talking about GIS work, we really should have this kind of thing sorted out beforehand. This is important information to think about what is going on here. But for us now, we'll just call this 25. Okay, so that's whatever code 25 is up as being something. Well, we need to put in a name here. So we'll call that sports, for want of a better term. So that's that done, but now it's got this symbol. I don't like that symbol. Let's change that, shall we? Let's go in there. And we'll give it a new color. This brown is rather unappealing. Put it there, and then that's much more appealing. But well, we'll choose a color. That's a color, definitely. And I think for the sports ground, actually, we'll have a border. We'll add a color to that. We'll take this green color. It's got this green border. Maybe we can thicken that up a little bit. Maybe. Just an idea. We'll see what it looks like. So now we've created a symbol for it. We could add in some sort of patterning. Really, we can test it, see what it looks like. If we click there, instead of simple fill, we'll take so point pattern fill, perhaps. We get this point. It's going to do this with some sort of marker. We want this simple marker. If we go down here, well, do we want that dot? Maybe, yeah, it looks like a football. Is that what we think? Could be. No border, but we'll change the color to, well, we can change the color to orange, say. This is not a great symbol. And then we don't worry about the offset because that's not going to make much sense. The size, well, I guess that can be 2 there. Anchor points. Right, so that's the marker, that's its size. Now we get the point pattern fill, and we mark on that the repetition of these. How often are they going to be repeated? So the distance between them, we can reduce that if you want more points on there. Now, I just want to really, really point out that this is not great. I don't think you should use these patterns, but I'm showing you how you can do it just for the sake of it. But I don't think they work terribly well. And not just because I've chosen some ugly colors. Right, so we'll have that in there for now, just to illustrate the point. Click on OK. So now we have our sports ground with its symbol there. It's not very well illustrated. We click on OK, and it will, in a second, update at some point, hopefully. Or not. No, it didn't update because I made a beginner's mistake. So we go back here, we go to the attribute table. It hasn't received its code yet. That's why. So we click here, we click on sports ground, and then now it should update. There we go, and we get one very ugly symbol. So it's done. Now that's ugly. I can't live with that. I'm going to go and change that. So I go in there, and I don't want this point pattern. Just get rid of it. I really don't like it. The other thing we can do, the drawing order, we can adjust this. We don't want the sports ground below unspecified. We're going to move that. And this is where things can get really quite fun. Yeah. At some point, it will accept that I've moved it. There, it did. It can take several attempts to get it to move. It's very, very fussy about exactly where on the ½ millimeter you actually drop it. So you've got to be very careful, but it will eventually work. And you can move that around. Okay, so that's there. Whew, that looks a lot nicer. Let's try constructing a road. Buildings work in exactly the same way. They're just going to be drawn on top. But let's do a road. So how we transport, and we'll start editing that. We can toggle editing there. Now we're going to draw a road, and of course we can do this simply with a basic crude style, or we can do it slightly more complicated. The complicated methods I'll come back to in later videos, but for now let's just get drawing some roads. So I'm going to draw this road here. Generally speaking, the fewer points you use, the better. That may sound odd when it comes to the curves, but you drawing a freehand curve is never going to work very well. The tools for drawing better curves come later, and I'll show you how to do them. But for now, let's just draw a road going past here. Let's start from there. And we're just drawing the center line of the road, and we go to there, and then we say a few points defining the curve of that road like that. It's not ideal, but it will do. And then we right click and then we go through the same procedure. We can go, well, that's, let's call that a street, shall we? Or we want to call it a main, we can call it a main road. Class, we don't have to do anything with if we don't want to. Just click on OK. And we have our road. That's a road drawn. That's one road. That's the start of it. Right, so we've drawn a road. Roads, we might want to put names on. So we'd have to look up what the name of this road is. I can't for the life of me think what this road is called right now. So I'll just make up a name. I could have entered the road name directly just now, or we can go back to the attribute table and into this column here, I can write in the text and we'll call this a okay. Nice, so it's got a name. Where is that name? So now we can look at putting a label on it. So if you right click there and we go to properties and then we click on labels and then we go single labels. And we want to take it from this type column because that's text, makes sense. We click on this text. Fonts, we can leave it at Arial for now and maybe reduce that down to something smaller so that it fits. Buffer, yes, we want a buffer. This sets a background to the text and only around the text. It makes it more readable, more legible when it's placed out on the map. And then the placement here, well, let's have it on the line, not above the line. And parallel, yeah, we can have it parallel with the line. Repeats. Well, if it's a long line, maybe we do want to repeat. So the road name turns up several times, but not every millimeter. That will be a bit silly. Let's give it some distance, 75 millimeters, 7.5 centimeters. Sounds not unreasonable. Okay, so that's that done. Click on OK. And there we go. There's the road name there in text. Can be a little difficult to read, but when it comes to printing the map, maybe that will be more legible. We also need to consider what's going to happen here with the scale, the thickness of the road when it comes to printing the map, but we'll come back to that later. We've now mapped a road, we've given it a name. You can do another road. I can put the name in directly if you like. Let's do, say, this road here. I want to start it from there. How do I start it from there? I need the snapping tools. So if I click on this little magnet up here, that's snapping tools. The snapping tools are on. I can check the settings. So for the active layer, and I want the vertex, that's the points, line endpoints. We can actually, let's go to the snapping options. Yeah, all of that's set up, active layers, vertex. Line endpoints might be what we want here more than anything else. So now we can close that. And when I hold the mouse pointer now, it snaps to the endpoint. So I can start my new road from there and go down to there, end it by a right click. So this is also going to be a main road. That's preset. I can also change it if I want to, but I can give this a name directly. If I know that it's called another road, click on OK, and it gets the name directly because we've set up the labeling. So that's that done. So one more last thing to do. Let's just look at creating some points, and this works in exactly the same way. We mark the point layer like that, say, we click on edit, and now that tool looks like this. We get some points, click on that, and I can just chuck out some trees. Now that looks more like forest to me, but if you want individual trees, click there, and it's going to be a deciduous tree. Click on OK, click there, click on OK, click there, click on OK. Very simple, very basic. And the same thing will be true for this layer. We can start editing that, and we can click on that tool there to add some more. And let's say, is there a bus stop anywhere? Do we think there's probably a bus stop there? So let's just say there's a bus stop there. Click there and put the bus stop symbol in. Okay, there's our bus stop symbol. And here we can see nicely that the bus stop symbol is higher up than the road, so it's laid itself over the road. But you still understand the road is there, which is why we have this ordering in the layers. Points on top of lines, lines on top of surfaces, polygons. Okay, so I think we can probably end that video there.